Back in Dalton, Georgia, they sell a little bit of everything, something that anybody could afford.
Rod Cole is the owner of this impressive 1968 Impala SS. Now, Rod, the car didn't start out like this. It's a barn find, or we could actually call it a shed find. Tell us about its humble beginnings.
Well, the car started out, it was bought in Avondale Estates by a school teacher. Another fellow purchased the car years later and had it for about 5 months in a shed. We found it and ended up buying the car, took it apart. Someone had spray bombed it blue, so we disassembled the car, reassembled it, everything went back correct like it came out of the factory. Got in touch with the family of the school teacher, and of course the owner passed away, but the kids remember learning how to drive in this car, so we got some neat little history on it. We've owned it for probably about 18 years. It's a numbers matching, factory original, 396. We pulled the whole car apart, glass and everything came out, went painted back. Everything works in this car, AC, you name it, and it's like it's supposed to be when it came out of the factory, other than the cool wheels we put on it.
I could see your love in your eyes for this car. This is going to be a hard one to part with.
It is. It'll be hard to go, but if it goes, then the next owner will really enjoy it.
And I'm certainly sure they will. Here comes one of the most popular collector cars, if not the most popular collector cars ever. The legendary 1957 Chevrolet.
Ted, you hear a lot about the 57 Chevy Bel Air. This is the coupe. Now, if it was a Bel Air, you see gold trim on there. The mesh grille insert, front fender chevrons, those are not present here on the coupe, and that's how you can tell the difference from those.
Well, the three basic models, the 150, the 210, and the Bel Air, they kept it pretty simple back in 57. One of the reasons this was so popular, it's the first year you could get the 283 engine. Prior to that, they all had 265s. They also had different options for horsepower that you could get on these cars, and it was kind of the new era of the fins. Most all the cars had fins, including the 57 Chevrolet.
And once one of them had fins, they all got fins. Everybody loved that look back in the late 1950s. You talked about options here, Ted. Here's one that I really liked. They had a traffic light viewer, which is a plastic visor that was just above the speedometer. And because the roof extends so far forward of the driver, it's hard to see traffic lights when you pull too far up. So that viewer captured the reflection of the overhead traffic light. That way the driver didn't have to lean way forward. I could use that today half the time.
Yes, 250. 36 250. That's right. I guess I'll have to take it. Oh, yeah. Now 36.5.
There you see the white wall tire still with the blue on the white wall. Brand new tire. You see the tag on it right there. This has been restored to perfection, and the restored car is very rare and very, very collectible.
255. Take your reserve off. 255. Can I lift the reserve? 255. Ladies and gentlemen, the reserve is off. 36,000.
Would this have come with white wall tires out of the factory, Ted?
Yes, it would be an option from the factory. That is correct.
Bam, sold it. 36,250. Bidder.
Amazing what that car sold for in 1957. Now let's move over to a Ford. This is, I believe, a 1941 Ford.
Yeah, this is the Ford Custom. And back in those days, in 1941, things were kind of tenuous. The war was getting started. They made the front fenders in 3 pieces, the theory being that small damages could be replaced easily instead of having to replace entire body parts. That saved metal and that saved parts when wartime production was getting started. And during the year, that evolved into a 2-piece fender as well, and the front and back sections were joined there.
Everybody didn't come to spend $100,000 on a car. I realize that. Here's one for $5,000 or $6,000 or $7,000. You can have a lot of fun, ride around in it.
They had 226 cubic inch flathead V8 engines. They stayed with that up until about 1955 when Ford came with the overhead valve engine, as did Chevrolet at that time. It was rated at 90 horsepower back there in the 1940s.
You could get moving. There's big, heavy cars, though. That's what kind of made it complicated. The production of the 1941s were disrupted by a labor strike in April of 1941. Ford was the only company that hadn't gone with the UAW to that point. They finally acquiesced and production kicked back in again. But, of course, it stopped back in February of 1942 when wartime production shifted to military production.
Again, a perfect restoration right here on this 1941 Ford. A lot of guys like to make these into street rods, and they make nice street rods. Notice the wide white wall tires. You see the ringman starting to work with the bidder right there, trying to get him back into it.
That's not just any better. That's Ted Vernon, host of South Beach Classics. You've seen it on Discovery Networks and, of course, streaming online. In fact, they're streaming live right now as we record this auction.
Good car, huh? Now 7. Hello. Hello. Look at me.
He's seen the car run good and drives good. That is a freaking steal.
No, he's 66. Yeah. 68. 67. You and me. Yes, sir. And the sold it. Come on, 6,700.
And John Gardner is down there with our proud new owner. Great buy on this 41 Ford.
Ted Vernon, man, famous. You just were late to the game on that car. I mean, I saw you come running in. What happened?
I got it. That's all that matters.
What enticed you, man? What enticed you to run in here like that for that car?
Well, I heard the number that it was at, and it was a good buy, so I got to run up and get it. Nice car.
What are you going to do with this one?
Put it with the other 300. Wind up selling it at Pete's next auction. I don't know.
Yeah, what a collection he has.
And with that, we'll take a break. We'll be back with more, including a Ford pickup truck.